Hey guys, welcome back to a very special weekend edition of the Chuckload of Comics show, your source for movie reviews, comic book talk, everything happening in the world of fandom. We try to break it down for you every single week. I know every week I tell you it's a special episode, but this week I am not kidding, guys. The Mandalorian drops in a couple days. We're going to give you a breakdown of everything you need to know going into the Disney Plus show, The Mandalorian. Before we get into all that, Shauna.
Yeah.
We had a lot of great movie stuff going down, guys.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm excited this week, guys. Monday, we are going to a press screening of the new movie Charlie's Angels.
I know. I think that's going to be fun. That'll be cool.
Our review of Charlie's Angels is going to go up on the channel probably on Tuesday, so keep an eye out for that. I'm kind of excited to see Charlie's Angels.
Me too.
I didn't think I would, but it's press screening. I love press screenings. Ford v. Ferrari. We are the Chuckload of Comics correspondent, our resident Rotten Tomatoes critic, Annie Banks, saw Ford v. Ferrari. That review is going to be up on the channel this weekend, so check it out. I'm going to put a link to it right above my head here. So see what people are saying about Ford v. Ferrari on the Chuckload of Comics channel coming this week. Dr. Sleep. We saw Dr. Sleep last night.
Loved it.
Cannot recommend this movie enough.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Fans of the Stephen King novel, fans of the Stanley Kubrick movie, there's something in there for everybody. So guys, go out, see Dr. Sleep. You will not be disappointed.
Agreed.
So let's go ahead and get into, this is a very special episode of the Chuckload of Comics show. Mandalorian drops in 2 short days of the time of this taping. We're going to give you everything that we know about the Mandalorian series and everything you need to know going into it. Everything from Mandalorian history to Mandalorian armor, show dates, the plot, timeline, casting, the directors. We're going to break it all down for you in this very special episode of Chuckload of Comics. So here to help us talk about the Mandalorian, the number one fan for My Chemical Romance, touring the nation this year, Kyra, joining us here for the first time since The Joker. How's it going, Kyra?
Hi, guys. I'm doing great. How are you, Chuck?
I'm good. So you're excited about My Chemical Romance,
I'm great,
huh?
thanks.
Oh, my God. I'm so excited. They've risen from the dead, and 2020 is going to be one hell of a year.
Woohoo!
What
Yes.
are the chances of you getting Gerard Way on the Chuckload of Comics show?
I'm going to do everything in my power to try to get him on the show.
Well, Gerard Way, if you're watching this, we want to talk Umbrella Academy with you. Kyra wants to talk My Chemical Romance with you.
everything.
So call us up, man, Mr. Gerard Way. I know you're very busy right now playing guitar. So, guys, let's go ahead and get into The Mandalorian. What an era that we're about to enter into the Star Wars universe. This is going to be the first ever live-action Star Wars series in history. And they are pulling no punches with the budget. It's going to be a high-budget thing. Very excited. I want to do a quick little round table to get everybody I want to talk about people's love for Star Wars real quick before we get into The Mandalorian. Where does everybody's love lie in the Star Wars universe? Kyra, what was your first introduction into the Star Wars universe?
Well, I saw the originals first with my father.
Did you?
And then you guys already know this. I don't know if YouTube knows this, but I grew up with the prequels. So they hold a special place in my heart. I love the story of Anakin. I love Obi-Wan. I love all those old school stories. But I mean,
every Star Wars panel needs a prequelist on it.
That's me, and I will gladly step into that hated role of being a prequelist because you guys know this. I will argue it. I will get in fights at bars. I don't care. I love the prequels.
Someone's got to love those Jar Jar poop jokes, man.
That's right. I know.
But everyone still remembers Jar Jar.
That's true. They do.
They remember Hitler too. That is not good.
Oh God, here we go.
Shauna, I know you were introduced in the Star Wars universe a little bit later than most.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your first introduction to the Star Wars universe.
That would be you over there, Mr. Chuck Lindsay. Yeah, you're my first introduction in the Star Wars universe, and loved it ever since.
Where's your love lie? When you think Star Wars, what do you go to?
So I'm gonna be, I don't even know what you would call me, but I'm gonna have to say The Force Awakens. I am
new age,
yeah,
right?
I guess
You're a Disneyist.
I'm a Disneyist. I like that. And yeah. How about you, Chuck?
Obviously, my first experience into the Star Wars universe, I saw Return of the Jedi in the theaters when I was 4 years old. That dates me. So now if you're wondering how old Chuck is, I saw it when I was 4 in 1983. So you do the math. Scared the hell out of me. Jabba's palace. I think I turned around in my seat. I couldn't even handle it in the Sarlacc pit. Scared the hell out of me, but I was hooked. No, the Ewoks I liked.
They scared me a little bit. I thought they were like gremlins.
Yeah.
So now that we kind of know, it's nice. We got a prequelist, we got a Disneyist, and we've got a traditionalist on the panel talking about The Mandalorian. So guys, let's go ahead and get into it. Everything we need to know about Mandalorian.
Gosh.
Let's go ahead and start with the who are the Mandalorians?
Yeah.
Let's start with the history of Mandalorians, because I mean the character of Boba Fett, the character of the Mandalorians, they weren't introduced. You never got much of them in the original trilogy. You got obviously the Boba Fett, the Fett family, the flag flying over Maz Kanata's castle in Force Awakens. That's pretty much all we've gotten for the Mandalorians up to this point. They were featured very heavily in the animated shows.
Sure.
Kyra, I know you're a fan of the Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff. I mean, they were featured pretty heavily.
Yeah, they were in a couple episodes, I would say, and I mean they dove into it, not as much as this show's obviously, but I feel like Star Wars has a purpose with everything they do, and they probably just wanted to give people a little preview. But yeah, I mean they had in the Clone Wars with Obi-Wan and Anakin, they were right in there in the mix. I know this takes place a lot after that, but they've been around for a while, it seems. So
yeah, well, I never got into the Clone Wars and stuff, but I really want to, if for no other reason, to just get a little bit expanded universe on who the Mandalorians are.
Yeah.
So, guys, the planet Mandalore is where the Mandalorians come from. It was like thousands of years ago. The planet Mandalore. It was inhabited by large dragon dinosaur creatures known as mythosaurs. So it was if this is important for no other reason than the first human Mandalorian who rose up and took care of the mythosaurs, killed all these things. Why is this important? It's important because if you look at Boba Fett's patch, Boba Fett's that skull with the tusks that's so popular and so like synonymous with Mandalorians, that is a skull of the mythosaur. So that's the skull.
Interesting.
I had no idea. You learn something new every day.
Of the dinosaur that used to run Mandalore.
What? Okay. That's cool.
Well, so the Mandalorians, a humanoid race of people, they rose up to be. They're sort of a clan-based race of warmongering people. I mean, they are warlords. These guys. They became known throughout the galaxy as very fierce warriors. They were just the badasses of the galaxy that nobody wanted to mess with. They were great at obviously bounty hunting, fighting wars. They're a very clan-based thing. Enter the Jedi. The Jedi finally came on the scene, and they saw the Mandalorians as a dangerous threat to the peace of the galaxy. They actually confronted the Mandalorians, and this is the first time the Mandalorians ever faced Force users. So this was kind of scary to them. You got these magical beings out there messing with our game. So they decided to up their game a little bit. That's when they started introducing the armor. They started making armor, badass helmets, sick weaponry, which we're going to get to in just a little bit. The weaponry, the jetpacks, the flamethrowers, all the good stuff. So they really upped their game. Mandalorians obviously come equipped with the coolest weapons and gadgets in the galaxy. Like I said, jetpacks, flamethrowers, rocket launchers. We're going to get more into their weapons a little bit later. The one Mandalorian is interesting. The one Mandalorian who actually was entered into the Jedi Order. That actually we had a Jedi Mandalorian way back in the day. He rocked a very unique lightsaber known as the Dark Saber, and this Dark Saber is a key symbol for unifying the Mandalorian people. Will the Dark Saber show up in the Mandalorian show? Who knows? But I'm pretty sure there's going to be a reference to it. Don't you think?
That would be
cool. Should be. I mean, you would think.
I'm hoping the show dives a little bit into Mandalorian history because they're characters we don't know a whole lot about.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one of the main things I'm excited about this show is let's find out who these people are. We don't even know if the Mandalorian is a Mandalorian. For all we know, this is just some guy that found some armor.
Right?
We don't technically know that he's actually a Mandalorian, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
Never thought of it that way. Wow.
Yeah, we haven't even seen us take his helmet off yet in the trailers.
Yeah.
During the time of the original trilogy, obviously the first 3 movies that came out in the 70s, Mandalore was under Imperial occupation. That's important because its clans were split between followers of the Empire and people who were opposed to the Empire, which is why when you first meet Boba Fett, he was recruited by the Empire to go find the rebels. So, kind of interesting. They had ties with the Empire when we were first introduced. Actually, the first time we were introduced to last little thing. First time we ever saw a Mandalorian was Boba Fett in the Star Wars Christmas special. In the animated chunk of the Star Wars Christmas special. I don't know why I bring that up. It's just kind of funny.
It's a fun fact. You have to bring it up.
So because of that, he became this massively popular character. There was a toy, which is now the most expensive, hard-to-find toy in the Star Wars toy universe. That thing's worth tons of money, that original Boba Fett toy.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So before we get into the show, guys, a little bit about the armor. Because, I mean, when you think Mandalorians, you think that iconic armor, the iconic helmet. The Mandalorian armor was what inspired the look of the stormtroopers, what inspired the look of the clone troopers. I mean, Kyra, when was the first time we saw a Mandalorian in the prequels?
Gosh,
I mean, it was Jango Fett.
Literally, yeah. You never knew that. I mean, I guess you did know if you were superstars him, but I mean, seeing that and just seeing where it originated from, seeing that Boba, just seeing that they were actually people, like you said, who knows who he's going to be when he takes off the mask. You saw they were people.
They took that Jango Fett armor. And that's what they used, because obviously Jango Fett is the clone. All of the clone troopers are clones of Jango Fett, so they used that original Mandalorian armor to base the look of the clone troopers and, in turn, the look of the stormtroopers. It's really important. Mandalorian played a really key role in the look of the Star Wars universe. Obviously, this is all canon and stuff.
Yeah.
So the armor itself is made from a metal called Beskar, which it can repel energy blasts. The only reason I bring up the Beskar thing is because in the Mandalorian show, that scene with Werner Herzog when he's talking. We saw a special clip. We're going to get it out in just a second. But Werner Herzog pays the Mandalorian in Beskar metal to do the job.
That's right.
So to Mandalorians, Beskar is almost it has monetary value.
For sure.
It's that coveted, that Beskar metal that they use to make their weapons is what Werner Herzog pays the Mandalorian in the show
Is it like gold
to
or
do the
something?
job. It's like gold to these people.
Right.
The armor has always been seen as a status symbol among the Mandalorian people. Like the more pimp your armor was, the more higher ranked you were in the echelon of Mandalorians on the planet of Mandalore. It's designed, obviously, to make the wearer a one-man army. We talked a little bit about the weaponry. I mean, the armor's so decked out and so pimp. It's meant to you should be able to drop yourself. We talked earlier about how they were warmongering people.
Right.
This is getting really long. We haven't even gotten halfway there. There's so much to talk about the Mandalorian.
So much.
Like I said, the armor's made of Beskar. It's strong enough to repel energy blasts, loaded with weaponry. I mean, blasters, flamethrowers, grappling hooks, blades and darts, jetpacks, all kinds of cool stuff.
Cool.
So the armor's insanely important, and I think it's going to play a massive, important role in the show Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I mean, without a doubt.
Sure.
So let's go ahead and get into the show itself. Is everybody caught up on Mandalorian history and Mandalorian lore?
I'm not. Can you?
Should we start
give
over?
Me knowledge?
Should we start over?
We might have a little bit of knowledge now. I don't know if we have enough yet.
So, guys, the show launches this week. The first episode drops on Disney Plus November 12th, this Tuesday.
Woohoo!
Who's excited, man?
I'm excited.
I could
I'm
not be
stoked.
more excited about the Mandalorian
Yay!
show. It's going to be an 8-episode series, 8 one-hour episodes, but it's going to come out episodically. They're not going to. They're killing the streaming thing. You're not going to be able to, or they're killing the binge thing.
I love it.
Oh, that's
You're not
going to
be able to binge it. Everybody's gonna. It's going to be a weekly fun thing. It's going to be a water cooler thing.
Look forward to it.
Which I'm so glad
Yes.
they're
Yeah.
steering away from the binge
Absolutely.
thing. I don't like the binge thing.
I don't mind it, but with a show like this, I feel like, you have to do it by week. You have to do
You
it
need
weekly.
to.
Yeah.
So the first
More
episode's going to
excitement.
drop this Tuesday. The second episode's going to drop the same week. We're getting an episode on Tuesday and an episode on Friday.
Yes.
All right.
And then moving on from there, it's going to be a Friday show.
Okay.
So
Ooh.
every single week on Disney Plus, it's going to be a Friday drop. So, you would think Monday, so people could talk about it all week.
Right.
But now
Right.
people are going to talk about it all weekend.
Love it.
So 8 one-hour episodes coming out every Friday minus this Tuesday. The show's going to be rated TV 14, which is a really hardcore rating for Disney. That kind of
Right?
surprised me. It's one step above TV PG.
Right, which
does that
what Disney usually does, right?
does that surprise either of you guys that they're actually going with a little bit more of a violent rating for Disney Plus to launch your streaming service with a TV 14?
I don't think it surprises me. I think they're trying to attract that crowd. I don't know. That's my thought.
Yeah. Did you think they would go a little lighter?
I mean, I didn't think they would go lighter just because it seems like it's going to be not like a super violent show, but I mean, just with the Mandalorian base like history that they aren't the most peaceful people. But
Exactly.
I feel like with Disney Plus, you have all those Disney movies, everything. You're attracting the younger audience just right away. How else are you going to keep the older people, attracted to the
a
streaming
very good
service?
point. I
You
like
have
that.
to, you have to kind of
Because
make it a little violent.
you got to sell the parents before
Right.
you sell the
There you
kids.
go.
The parents are going to buy it for their kids just for all the
Right.
Disney content, but you got to give the adults, the
That's
people who
right.
are paying
Gotta
the
give
bills,
them a little something.
to make it worth their while.
And then throw Nat Geo in there too, and then you got the
Right
adults
now,
in
you got
there.
the seniors.
So that I'm excited, man. That ups my excitement level quite a bit. The fact that they're not going TV PG, they're going TV 14.
Love it.
That is badass. I don't think they're gonna get stupid bloody, but they're at least gonna not shy away from the fights and the violence.
They don't have to be afraid of it.
Might get an F-bomb on Disney Plus. I doubt it.
F-bomb. I mean, it is 14, not
I know.
13. I mean, do 14-year-olds say the F-bomb more than
No, God, yeah, these days. So
I should know.
So the show, I mean, the timeline of the show. So when does the show take place? It takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, which I love. It's a time period of the Star Wars universe that's never been tapped before. We've never seen what happens after Return of the Jedi and the introduction of Force Awakens, like the rise of the First Order and all that stuff. What happened to the Empire? The Rebellion obviously has defeated the Empire. The Rebellion has won. The Empire has fallen. For those of you fans of the extended universe stuff, the books, Mon Mothma has signed the Galactic Concordance, which is a kind of cosmic peace treaty. It's sort of a Band-Aid they're putting on while they're building the New Republic. This is pre-New Republic. This is pre-First Order. The remnants of the Imperial top brass, all the generals from the Empire have traveled through... They've traveled and kind of planted themselves in unknown regions of space throughout the galaxy to kind of start the First Order. The First Order was created by former generals of the Empire.
Yeah.
The reason I bring that up, there's a character, Moff Gideon, who's played by Giancarlo Esposito. All of you fans of Breaking Bad. He is a former...
Wait for that.
We're going to get into the cast in just a little bit, but he is one of these former top brass Imperial officers who's still cruising around. So there's still going to be very much an Imperial presence. It's a wonderfully rich time period for a space western.
Right?
It's a lawless time.
Cool.
It's a lawless time of scum and villainy, as they say. And that was best summed up in the trailer when Werner Herzog, that amazing voiceover with Werner Herzog in that trailer that we just saw, where he says, he asked the Mandalorian, he's like, is the universe a better place without the Empire? And that's the question. Are we better? Because, I mean, while the Empire was in power, people had their roads fixed. They had their toilets running. They had running water. They had universal health care.
Yeah.
They had galactic health care.
Galactic healthcare.
And so now they're kind of stuck. There's nobody's in charge. So the New Republic is in its infancy. The Empire has obviously just fallen. There's still lots of rogue stormtroopers walking around, which we saw in the trailer. One of my favorite parts, Kyra, in the trailer was when we saw all these stormtrooper helmets in the dust. They had them up on pikes.
Oh yeah.
You
The
see
one
a lot
time
of
I feel
just
sad for them.
all
What
these.
happened, right? You're like, wait a second, this feels weird. This isn't right.
You see a lot of dirty, dusty stormtroopers who they're not rocking bright white uniforms anymore, but they're still stormtroopers.
They don't know what to do,
they don't know what to do. So
probably,
they're
right?
just cruising
They're just-
around, getting odd jobs here and there. So it's a
Bartending,
wonderful
space
time
Wonderful
to
time.
have a Star Wars show. Could not be more excited because it's totally untapped
Oh, it's so cool.
time. So a little bit about the plot, guys. I like that they have kept the plot of this show completely under wraps.
I know.
We know so little about the plot of this show except for when it takes place and the Mandalorian himself. Jon Favreau, all we do know for sure, Jon Favreau took to Instagram and he put up this Instagram post, said, after the stories of Jango and Boba Fett, another warrior emerges in the Star Wars universe. The Mandalorian is set after the fall of the Empire and before the emergence of the First Order. We follow the travails of a lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far from authority of the New Republic. Lone gunfighter. You might not have noticed. We don't even know what this guy's
that
name
was
yet
cool,
is.
man.
Doesn't even have a name. Yeah.
We don't even know what the Mandalorian's name is.
No.
I like that, though.
It could be Billy Fett for all we
Right?
know. It could,
Could be a descendant.
Ooh,
right?
it could be a descendant. I didn't think about that. Wow.
let me put this little bug in your brain. It could be Boba Fett. What are the odds that the Mandalorian's actually Boba Fett?
No
It's
way.
not going to be. It's
No.
not going to be Boba Fett, but it could be.
There's
Yeah,
like a
that's true.
small percentage.
He would
coulda
have been really, really young though, in because
He could have gotten out of the Sarlacc pit. He died. He quote unquote died in Return of the Jedi. So it's only 5 years after his
He could have
quote
got out
unquote
of that.
death
I
in
mean,
the
he
Sarlacc
could have
pit.
been in there and hopped out. No one could have seen.
We
you
haven't
know?
seen his
Right.
face. We don't know
That's
his name.
true.
He
You
could be
have-
anybody.
Yeah, very
That's
good
kind of
points.
terrifying. Wow. I
He
don't know
could
if
be
I'm ready to see. I mean, I am, but it's like
It's highly unlikely, but I'm just saying it's possible. We do know, Shauna and I. Well, and Kyra, you were at Star Wars Celebration also, but you didn't make it to this panel.
I wasn't there that day.
We went to the Mandalorian panel with Jon Favreau. Dave Filoni was on the stage. They showed us a really
so cool.
large chunk, a 10-minute clip from the show that we haven't seen yet. it's where the Mandalorian is sitting down. He's being offered a job that he wants to take. That is the scene, the Werner Herzog scene. He's talking to the Mandalorian. He's offering him this job. He's going, as we know from earlier, he's going to pay him in Mandalorian armor.
Right.
So he's really reluctant to take the gig, but obviously, I guess from what we've seen in the trailers, it's pretty obvious that he does take the gig.
Right. I assume.
I guess there would be no show if we didn't.
So, leading into it, I'm assuming that's going to be right at the beginning of episode 1.
Yeah.
Werner Herzog pitching the Mandalorian, the unknown Mandalorian, of this job that he eventually takes. So, speaking of characters,
yes,
we've talked a lot about the cast, guys. Pedro Pascal is going to be playing the Mandalorian. You know, Pedro Pascal, he played Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I feel like you just realized this, guy.
I just realized this. What? Oh my God.
She's so happy.
Oberyn, yes. I mean, God. If you love Game of Thrones, you wanted him to live longer.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoilers. Here we go.
Oberyn Martell,
Oh
man.
my God. Hell yeah.
One of a fan favorite character in Game of Thrones. He's going to be playing the Mandalorian.
Oh my God.
Mandalorian.
Kyra's so happy.
I mean, clearly I didn't read up enough about this. Maybe I was trying to surprise myself here, but.
Well, like we said, I mean, he's a lone gunfighter who pilots an artillery-loaded gunship called the Razor Crest. So that's about all we know. We haven't seen his face. We don't know his name. Another massive, awesome piece of casting is Gina Carano. We saw her at the Mandalorian
Love
panel
her.
also. She came out. She was so excited to be an actress and be part of this universe. She plays Cara Dune, who is an ex-shock trooper who's having trouble reintegrating into society after her experiences with the war with the Empire and stuff. So
Okay.
she's almost like a former stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Trying to find her way.
Trying to find her way now that the Empire has fallen. My favorite casting, of course, is Carl Weathers.
Oh my
Apollo
gosh.
Creed.
Apollo Creed himself.
He basically plays, I think, Pedro Pascal's kind of boss.
Nice.
Okay.
He plays a character called Grief Karga. I think he hires the Mandalorian to receive certain valuable items for certain rich clients. Rich client being Werner Herzog. So he's sort of the boss of the people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like the bad guys,
Yeah.
the good guys.
He's like the pimp of
Yeah,
the Mandalorian.
he's the Mandalorian's boss. He's Mandalorian's pimp, basically, is what he is. Taika Waititi is going to be voicing the character of IG-11.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
So who is IG-11? You saw IG-88 in Empire Strikes Back. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But he's a droid bounty hunter who, like Boba Fett, he was one of the 6 scum hired by Darth Vader to track down the Millennium
Nice.
Falcon in Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. So when he's that scene where he's like, no disintegrations, you saw IG-88 in the back. This is not IG-88. This is just another murderous droid, an assassin droid, I think is what they call him. So he's IG-11. I think this is going to sort of be the comic relief. Said, I mean,
You think?
I already love this
because
character.
of its Taika Waititi.
I'm already a fan. This is probably going to be my favorite one.
Taika Waititi did the voice of Korg
Of
in
course, yeah.
Thor Ragnarok and Avengers Endgame.
Oh my God, yes.
He is going to be a funny, murderous droid. I love this.
Calling
love
it
it.
now.
I hope that Taika just uses his own voice like he does with Korg, because
Yeah.
it's just so
It's just
funny to
perfect
me.
the way
He kind of just talks like this and says, "Yeah, so guys, I think I need to kill somebody now." Like
Yes.
I think it'd be
Yeah.
great.
Yes.
Just like in Rogue One.
Yeah.
The best.
Yeah. Other
excited.
very important casting news, guys. Giancarlo Esposito that we talked about earlier. He plays Moff Gideon, who was a former Imperial top brass figure
Sweet.
who is now sort of existing in the universe. Werner Herzog, the great Werner Herzog, plays the client,
Oh my
who is the
gosh.
guy who's going to basically pay the Mandalorian to do a job. Emily Swallow, Ahmed Abtahi,
Huh.
Ming-Na Wen. Awesome Ming-Na Wen. She plays a character called Finnick Shand.
Oh,
And of course,
sweet.
Nick Nolte.
What?
Nick Nolte is going to be the voice of a character called
Wait, hold
Cooley.
on a second.
Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte is
Now,
gonna be
he's
in
not
this?
appearing as Nick Nolte. He is appearing as, you saw this character in the trailers just a little bit. He's this alien character
Okay.
who's like, I've never met a Mandalorian before.
That
That's going to
was-
be, that's Nick Nolte.
Are you serious?
Yeah, if you saw the latest TV spot, I've never
That-
met a Mandalorian before. That's Nick Nolte's voice.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Why hire Nick Nolte for that? Like
I
why?
don't know. Because he wasn't doing
Very
anything.
specific, random. Just here we go. We're gonna give
I
you
like
this.
it. I'm glad that.
That's
I mean,
fine.
why not get Nick Nolte?
Give giving Nick Nolte some work. Okay.
There's a vision. He's a part of the vision.
So it's a stacked cast, guys. I'm very excited about. Well,
oh my gosh.
What's more important than the people in front of the camera is the people behind the camera.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more.
Showrunners and directors. We know the showrunner of the show is the great Jon Favreau.
Of course.
Interesting story. Jon Favreau actually came up with this idea. He pitched it personally to Disney. He was having a lunch with like Kathleen Kennedy, and he just gave him this idea. He said, "Look, this is a time period of the Star Wars universe that no one's ever tapped before.
That's amazing.
I think it's a great time to do it. We don't know anything about Mandalorians. It's a great character to sort of unpack." And Disney said, "Yeah, let's do it." And so Jon Favreau pulled out of his pocket the first 4 scripts for the first 4 episodes.
He was ready. He's like, well.
All you kids out there, all you millennials going out on job interviews, always have the first 4 scripts ready to go, just in case they say yes. So Jon Favreau, gonna crush it. He brought a stacked cast of directors.
Of
Dave
course.
Filoni,
Of course.
the guy the showrunner for Clone Wars and Rebels. Bryce Dallas Howard. Deborah Chow.
Yay.
A lot of you guys might not know who Deborah Chow is. She is one of the directors for Westworld. She was director for Jessica Jones, the movie, the show Lost in Space, and she's been tapped to direct the new Obi-Wan series, also coming out. So she is going to be a name to keep an eye on. It's nice to see a female director getting all this work, totally killing it. Rick Famuyiwa. And, of course, Taika Waititi is going to direct. Taika Waititi is ironically doing the final episode. Taika got the finale.
Really?
It's a big.
So
What?
Dave Filoni's doing the first, I think, 2, and then Taika Waititi's going to wrap it up.
Wow.
All right.
That's kind of surprising.
It's interesting because Taika Waititi, I mean, he's very comedic sort of director, very comedic kind of guy.
That's what
For
I'm
like a
wondering.
finale, that's pretty
Yeah.
interesting to choose a comedic.
I
kinda
wonder if
wondering.
he's going to go dark on. He's got to. This
I don't
can't be
know.
a comedic finale. There's no way.
We know nothing, but
I
we know
agree.
it's not going to be comedic at the
I
end.
know, right?
I agree and disagree just
Really?
a little bit because,
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
You want
I
us to
want
be
this to be
lighthearted?
dark. I want it to be dark. I want it to be good. But I mean,
Okay.
Star Wars has always sort of had a slightly comedic
Comedic, yeah.
element to it. Like, not quite Jar Jar fart jokes, but I mean,
Like C-3PO.
Han Solo was a very comedic character.
Oh, for sure.
I don't want to go totally Ryan Johnson Last Jedi comedic.
Right.
I don't want to see people throwing lightsabers over the shoulders and drinking blue milk
A little disrespectful.
and making your mama jokes.
Yeah,
but
we don't need to see Luke doing that.
but I think there needs to be a slightly comedic element in the
Okay.
show, just a little bit.
No, of course there's
Because Star Wars is
absolutely.
a fun. It's always had a little bit of a
It's always fun.
taste of comedy to it.
No, I agree that there needs to be a comedic element, but not. I mean, it seems like that's going to be throughout the show, not
Right.
in the finale. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's going to be interesting to me.
He probably has a bunch of people writing it with
Yeah.
him, so it's probably just he has the main name, but there's probably so many.
Yeah.
I don't think Favreau will let him
Make it a joke.
make it a joke.
I know, right?
This is his this is his love child right now. Like
I
we were
don't-
talking his
yeah,
love child.
I
There's
don't
no
think
way.
it's going to be Thor Ragnarok or anything, but I
No.
think I'm pretty stoked about it. So speaking of the original concept, I mean George Lucas. What everybody asks when a new Star Wars movie comes out is what is George Lucas's involvement? Well, Favreau's
important
good, man.
question.
Favreau sat down with GQ magazine, and the topic of George Lucas came up, and Favreau said this. He said we had a long talk with each other. One thing he said to me was, "Remember, John." The real audience for all stories and all myths is the kids that are coming of age. We enjoy the stories as adults, but really storytelling is about imparting the wisdom of the previous generation onto the children who are becoming adults and giving them context for how to behave and how to learn life lessons of the past without making the mistakes on their own. That's the hope that you can teach them how to avoid all the hardships, but garner all the wisdom.
Oh, it looks like Kyra's about to cry.
I love this talk. Like George Lucas.
Describe my childhood. Holy
Exactly.
Oh my god.
George Lucas is basically saying, you want to impress the adults, but it's really your audience is the kids because
Yeah.
the kids are going to grow up to be adults. So
right. Makes sense.
there's going to be kids out there, hopefully 14 and over because it's a TV 14 show, that are going to grow up as
My
this.
brother fits the.
This is going to be their Star Wars.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
keep that in mind, Jon Favreau, is basically what
Wow.
George Lucas was saying. He's
Wow.
like, you're talking to the adults, but you're also giving a lot of
Targeting
kids out there their
kids.
first experience to the Star Wars universe. So don't forget that. So I like that.
Yeah.
That George Lucas said that.
Love that.
That was really
oh
cool.
my gosh, that literally. I mean, I haven't read that. I haven't heard that or read that till
Yeah.
now, and
Yeah, it's nice that
Wow.
Favreau is actually allowing George Lucas to sort of have a passive yet
Yeah.
active role in the show. He's not necessarily taking his advice on how the show's going to run, but he's he's letting him be on the set. He's talking about him.
I feel
He's
like
talking to him. Who
he
better?
He should always have a say in
George
things.
Lucas is the creator. Everything
Right.
we're doing was his idea.
Literally, he's the brain of everything. He always has to have like at least a little bit of influence on anything Star Wars related.
The reviews for the show, guys, are glowing. We did an entire episode. I'm not going to give you all the reviews, but check it out. Here's a link to it right here.
Yeah.
The reviews for the show are phenomenal. Check out our review show. We read them all. People are just losing their minds about the high budget, the high production quality of the show. No one is saying it's crap. Everybody's just pretty much blown away by
bad word
it.
about it.
Now, I have a question, Chuck, if you don't mind. Do you think we're going to see any Return of the Jedi characters in this series?
You mean like R2 and C-3PO and stuff like that?
I mean,
Ooh,
will Han Solo
interesting.
pop up? Will Leia be? I mean, do you think there'll be like a little, like, I don't know.
I think we're going to see a lot of. I wouldn't be surprised if we see an Ewok.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of the more side characters. I don't
Right.
see any of the core
The main,
five.
yeah.
Making it obviously not. Carrie Fisher's not going to be in
Right,
it. Obviously, I don't see
CGI,
young Han Solo, or I don't see any Han Solo action happening. I don't think we'll see R2 or, but I think we're going to see. We're going to see all sorts of fun icon
right,
art.
or like talks of them or something,
sure.
I want to see an Ewok.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Same.
I want to see an Ewok.
Revival of the Ewoks.
Yeah.
Although I do think they're going to be. I mean, that's my gut is telling
I
me
think
they're
it's-
going to be the next Star Wars movie. I think they're going to. They're going to pop up.
I think so too. I think they're maybe. I think they're going to save a lot of that stuff for maybe season 2.
Yeah.
Because I think this is going to be
good
more an
call.
establishing
getting them.
season. But I see season 2 tapping into the Rise of the First Order, stuff
Okay.
like that. That's kind of bridging the gap between Return of the Jedi and I don't think we'll see the Emperor, obviously, because he's dead. He doesn't come out till this next movie.
Good.
Where has he been this whole
So
time?
I see season 1 being more of an establishing thing, and then season 2 being okay. Now let's start piecing things together.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be
All right.
surprised if we see something, or there's a mention to Snoke, or there's a mention to Hux,
That'd be so cool,
or
right?
somebody like that. I mean, I hope there is. I know
Right.
Favreau and Filoni. I mean, they are steeped in Star Wars
They
lore.
thought this
so.
through. They have a whole just character
Plan.
line ready to.
Oh yeah, they
for
probably have
sure.
like 5 seasons written.
Oh, for sure. I mean, knowing Favreau, right? He's probably
Yeah.
got at least 3 in his back pocket ready
Right?
to go
Yeah.
at any time.
Well, I mean, a little bit of foreshadowing, guys. Season 2 is in the works, so they've already announced season 2.
Sweet.
Favreau's already got it in development. I think he's going to direct. Actually, I think the first 1 or 2 episodes of season 2.
Good.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
So I could not be more excited. This was a long show.
It always happens.
But I
It
hope you
always-
guys learned just a thing or two about who the Mandalorians are, some about their armor, and something that you maybe didn't know about the show. Kyra, what's the one takeaway from this episode that you learned and maybe didn't already know?
Everything just Mandalorian based. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like when you think of a Mandalorian, you've seen the previews, you've seen the trailers, you think of Boba Fett right away. So you don't really know sounds kind of deep.
What's
You don't really
underneath?
know what's underneath Boba
Yeah.
Fett. He's a human. What does he feel? I mean, I feel like they're going to dive into the Mandalorian once he takes his mask off as maybe as a person.
Which we
maybe.
still haven't seen.
Yeah, I know.
No.
We know it's
Gosh,
Pedro
I'm so-
Pascal under that mask.
Oh, and man, I'm ready for him to take the mask off. Let's say that much. He needs a revival after Game of Thrones.
Shauna, anything you took away from this show that...
I did not know the history of the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So thanks for looking all that up for us, Chuck.
Yes, Chuck. The
didn't look it up.
encyclopedia.
I knew it.
He didn't look it up. He
It was
knew
just
that-
there.
he knew
It was there.
He knows it.
I know
What
all
am
about the mythosaurs.
What am I talking about? I'm sorry, people. Chuck just knows everything.
Yeah. Well, I think this is going to be a nice sort of the Mandalorians finding out who they are. I mean,
Yeah.
also not just us finding out who they are. I think this is going to be them sort of reestablishing themselves in the world
Yeah,
of
right.
Star Wars.
Totally.
I'm curious how many planets we're going to go to, and when it's going to take place in
God.
1 or 2 planets. Are we going to get a lot of planets?
Coruscant, maybe? Who
Are
knows?
they? Why not? What's going on with Coruscant? Damn good question.
It's featured in the Clone Wars when they're in the Mandalorian.
Damn
so
good
we'll
question.
see.
Are we going to go? Are
We'll
we going to
see.
visit things like that? Are we going to see maybe a Mon Mothma? Are we going to see the signing of the Accord? I don't know, but I'm pretty excited.
So many potential things.
And I love that they're keeping everything under their, tight to their vest. They're keeping everything under their hat. No spoilers.
No leaks or anything yet.
Love it,
Oh,
love
yeah.
it, love it. So, guys, obviously Disney Plus launches this Tuesday. First episode of The Mandalorian. Let us know in the comment section after the show drops. What did you think? And Kyra, I want to thank you for being here. My Chemical Romance
Yes,
Kitten Tour.
Gerard
Way.
We're ready for your interview whenever you're ready.
Yes. we need him on the show.
Yes.
We
Oh
need
my
to talk
gosh.
Umbrella
Umbrella
Academy
Academy,
season
everything.
2.
Doom Patrol, everything. Let's do it.
All right, Shauna, you did an amazing. You did the Lord's work with the directing over there.
Aw, thanks. I appreciate it.
I give you a lot of photos to go through.
I'm trying, I know.
Shauna is the best.
All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot for watching. Let us know in the comment section how excited are you for Mandalorian. And if you already saw the first couple episodes, let us know what you thought.
Woo.
So thanks for watching this amazingly long, amazingly special episode of the Chuck Loden Comic Show. We're here every single Sunday breaking down the nerd news, everything that happened in the world of fandom over the past 7 days. We break it down for you every single weekend. Check the channel for Charlie's Angels reviews, Ford vs. Ferrari reviews, and go see Dr. Sleep this weekend. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching.
Yay.
See you here next week.
Bye-bye.